Happy last Saturday of the month of January. Is that right? Yes. Happy last Saturday of the month of January. I didn't realize. These in. How are you guys doing today? My name is Stacey Flowers, and I'm a student of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. And I'm on a journey to become 100% debt free. I am on baby step number 2 to repay all of my debts, and my current debt right now is right around $160,000. I work for myself part time, and my average income this year has been about $5,000. In this video, I am going to be going over my February 2020 budget. I'm going to be completing the 3 budget forms that are part of Financial Peace University. It includes the cash flow plan. I'm also going to, the quick start budget, the cash flow plan, and the allocated spending. I'm gonna do, I didn't put earrings on, no nothing. I actually wanna have earrings on, guys. I'm gonna be very vain and go get some earrings. How do you guys feel about that? No? Okay, I'll just leave it. Maybe I'll have earrings on when I get back. The point of the matter is, um, I'm very excited to be here this morning. So much stuff is happening and going on, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited for where my debt is. I am just about finished reconciling. I'm just about finished reconciling all of my numbers for 2019 on the business side and on the personal side. And I'm very happy with where my debt total is. My mind is kind of blown that this debt is just rolling away. And I'm excited to do my budget. So the thing that I like to share with you guys is that I am a student. I am a student. I know that I have been doing this for 28 months now, but I am still a student of the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University program, which means that I am learning, and I welcome the pushback. I welcome the feedback. I welcome the questions, the comments, and debates as I am going through my budget. You guys will see me catching things or messing up on things. And even at this stage, 28 months into the game with nearly, with over 50 some odd $1,000 paid off, I welcome you all pushing back and saying, hey, you messed up here, you didn't do this here, you didn't do this here. So feel free to comment and let me just let me know like what I'm not doing right or what you're catching that I'm not doing. But I just like to bring that to your attention that I am a student. Risha said, so what's your debt total now? So my debt total is right around 160,000 now, which is kind of crazy. I'm just a touch before the 50s, just a touch before the 50s, but I like to round up just to give myself a little bit of comfort, but just a touch before the 50s, which you guys know that that is my actual debt threshold. And I feel good though. Like I feel like, I'm coming upon my debt threshold. And a debt threshold is very similar to like a weight threshold, where when you get to a certain weight, like you for whatever reason sabotage and then you go back up to the weight that you were trying to get rid of, like there's a threshold of comfort, and my threshold of comfort is 150, and I'm just a touch before 150 because I'm kind of counting my debt in like fives, if that makes sense. So I'm just a touch before it, and I have a couple of more contracts and stuff like that that are coming in and coming through, and things are looking very good. And I say that to say, even though I'm a touch before the 50s and I'm right at my death threshold, I have made some changes in this year that I think are going to really support me in not uh, making the mistake that I made the last time, or making the mistake of, because I'm so close to my threshold, doing something to sabotage and go back up. I think I'm just going to keep barreling through. And I think this debt snowball is going to be getting rolled away here really quickly. And I'm pretty excited about that. I'm pretty excited about, Sandra said, will you do a video of those changes in self-sabotage? Yes. I yes, I will. I'm feeling kind of, I don't know if it's because I don't have on any earrings. I don't know. I'm feeling kind of weird today. I feel like I know I'm gonna do my budget, but I feel like I want to just talk to you guys. So maybe I'll do just a separate video where I'm just talking to you guys, and I'll make sure I make this a budget video. But yeah, the self-sabotage is very, very real, and thankfully, because of the choices that I've made to take care of myself mentally, emotionally, and physically, I've been able to catch that. And in me being able to catch that, I've been able to manage for it and not do it, because I'm telling you guys, like, once I get right under though that 150 mark, I'm not gonna be able to tell me nothing. Like, this ball is gonna be rolling like crazy, because so much of the work I've done in the last couple of months, like outside of just like, you know, me stepping away because of the grief or whatever, like the work that I've done in the last couple of months is to really release my emotional attachment to this debt. And I really am not emotionally attached to it anymore. Like, it doesn't, like before I was like, it's identity, it's shifting my identity, I can't do this. Not anymore. Now I'm just kind of like, oh, look, there's a bill. Let me pay this bill. Let me take care of this bill. Like, I'm so emotionally detached from it now that, like, I'm like, what are you still doing here? Like, why are you still in my life? Like, it just, I don't even know how to explain it, which is probably why I haven't done a video on it, because I don't know how to explain it. But I will do the work to figure out how to explain it and to figure out how to talk through what I've done to sort of cure my self-sabotage and face my debt threshold and face all of the internal like stuff that was happening, as I was getting to this point that I'm at. So that's exciting. So we're gonna start by doing my budget, and then after I do my budget for all of the budget forms, and if you guys want the budget forms, there's a link in my description box. After I do all of the budget forms, what I will do, good morning, Christina. What I will do is I will pop back on and do a Q&A, and we'll probably just talk a little bit more about like what's been going on and the changes and all the awesomeness and stuff like that. Because it's, man, let me tell you, you will get to a point in your financial journey and it will blow your entire mind. My mind is actively blown every single day. And I'm super excited that you guys have been here for the last 28 months. And I've had this glorious community to be able to express myself to, and to be able to share, and to be able to say, like, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. This is what I'm scared of. This is what I'm excited about. This is what's going on. And you guys have just been super, super receptive to that. So I really, 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 really appreciate you. So without further ado, I'm going to turn you guys over, and we are going to get started on my budget. Big Lil, I don't know how to say your last name, but you said, how do you know how much money you're going to have the next month? So I pay myself like from, how is it that I pay myself? So like the money that I'm making in February is based on the money that I actually made in, just call me Ty. Okay, hi Ty. So I pay myself a month in it. It's not a month in advance. So like the money that I don't pay myself out of the month, I do not pay myself out of the month that I earn. So my February income is based on my January earnings. So we're close to the end of the month in January. I have a pretty good idea of how much income I'm going to have in January, what my expenses are going to be, and then I pay myself a percentage of the revenue that comes into my company. And so then based off that percentage, then I always know what's going to happen in February. But I don't pay myself in the month that I earn, because then I'm stressed out in that month to try to earn enough to be able to live and survive and all the other stuff, which impedes my creativity, and all that and stuff. So yeah, so I pay myself from the previous month, and that's how I always know. Deshawn said, are you doing the debt snowball method? Yes, I'm doing the debt snowball method, and I'm just down to one type of debt, my 2 student loans, undergrad and graduate. So no more questions. I'm going to turn you guys over. We are going to get started on this budget. Let me get you guys turned over and get you worked out so that you're not seeing all of my cords. Let's see. How do I want to do this? There we go. Is that better? There we go. Yeah. And then I will pull you guys up over here so I can see your questions. Oh, but that cord. Let's see. I don't want that cord to be in there that way. my video. So this is the quick start budget. And again, if you guys want to have this budget, just go to the link in my description box, or you can go to www.daveramsey.com and you can grab the budget forms from there as well. All right, so you guys are not gonna let me see this. Okay, there we go. So I have you guys pulled up over here. And now I can see your questions. So you can feel free to start asking questions as we get through the budget. I will definitely answer them in the next video, but just to keep this one a little short and sweet, I am going to focus on, let me get you guys straightened out here a little bit. I'm going to focus on just answering or just doing my budget numbers. I don't know why I feel so flustered this morning. What's going on here? Okay. So this is the quick start budget, and this budget form is all about telling your money what to do, but also making sure that you can cover your 4 walls. Your 4 walls in the Dave Ramsey budgeting program are like your essentials or your needs. So it's food, shelter, transportation, and a little bit of clothing if you need it. So this form, if you couldn't find yourself, if you don't have the energy, or your brain turns to mush as you start to look at your numbers and you don't have the energy to get through the cash flow plan or the allocated spending, at the very least, I would encourage you to do the quick start budget, because this is all about telling your money what to do. Like, what do I need to do with the initial amount of money? And I would say that when my income was about $800 a month, this was the form that helped me the most, because I really needed to see I really needed to figure out how to cover my basic necessities, and I really needed to see how my money was being stretched across my basic necessities. This is the form that informed me doing a $50 a month grocery haul. This is the form that informed me figuring out what it would actually cost for me to move. What's happening? So this is a very, very important form, and I think a lot of people want to skip it because it seems redundant, but I think that it's really important just to see how much does it cost for you to just cover your needs. Oh. I don't know what's happening in my throat there. So my income is, yes, I'm okay. I have like a little, you know how like you get a little tickle in your throat on the side? That's what's going on. So my income this month is going to be $5,000. And so you guys know I put 10% of my income towards tithes. You also know that I put 10% of my income towards child support. So it's 500 and 500. Thank you. Risha says sometimes eating a little bit something solid helps more than water. Yeah, I'm trying to, it must be like a little dust bunny or something that got stuck in there. But thank you. So my tithes and my child support are the first thing. My emergency fund of $1,000 is fully funded. I'm not saving for anything else. I know we had talked about me potentially doing a sinking fund for my son's graduation and his 18th birthday and stuff like that. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I am just going to cash flow those in the month that they happen. I know I totally could save, but I'm really, really trying to focus on putting as much of my money towards my debt as humanly possible each and every single month, so I don't have anything there. My rent, including my second gas, is $937. My renter's insurance is $575. Grab my calculator here. And let me add up those totals. Let me put it on the screen so you guys can see it. Plus, okay, so that is $942.75. Then my electricity is 25 and my gas is 25 what I budget. You guys know that I recently moved my phone bill over to my business expenses. Yeah, so my phone bill over to my business expenses. So this reduces a little bit of my monthly expenses. All 2019, I kept my phone bill as a personal expense, but after talking to my accountant and all that jazz and really making sure I was within the integrity of switching that over, can I move the calculator? Oh, let me see. Where? Okay, there. Is that better? Yeah. Yes, okay. After talking, it's definitely a business expense. So that's an expense that you guys no longer see here on the personal side, which is reducing my personal expenses by $35.82. So my new utilities are $50, and the numbers for the cost of my things are incredibly low. The reason it's so low now, even though I have an income that would allow me to be able to have a higher cost of utilities, is because I was very intentional 27 months ago when I started to go on this journey to move into a place that would allow me to be able to keep lower utilities, because even my internet, it's not built into like the cost of rent, but this apartment complex has a contract with an internet service, and so I have like high speed internet, whatever the highest speed is, but it's $25 a month. And so even if it had to come out of my personal expenses, it would have still my utility still would have been under $150 a month. And that was a very intentional decision, because at the beginning of this journey I was not making as much money as I'm making now, and it's paid off significantly where I'm at now, because I have so much more disposable income that I can actually put towards my debt. So that's the total cost of my utilities. Then for food, my new grocery budget, I'm just gonna leave it at $200. Even with traveling, I am learning now that I need to figure out a better way to preserve food, so when I get back in town from traveling, I have something to eat. So in January, I actually was gone from my home for 12 days, 10 or 12 days. So I've, I, 10 or 12 days. So I've had at least, so we'll just say half and half. So I was gone from my home at least half the month, and I'm here in my home the other half of the month. And so when I'm thinking through budgeting normally, I'm just like, oh, well, that's half the food, because the other half of the food I'm going to eat when I'm out. But what happened is when I came home from the traveling that I did, I had two things that I did back to back. When I came home, I didn't have anything to eat. And I didn't have anything to eat because I really like to eat fresh things, like fresh fruits and vegetables. And that's going to present a little bit of a problem in terms of me being able to maintain calories for the gym, and me being able to maintain just general, like, when you get home from traveling. And it just so happened that the day that I came home, we had a big snowstorm here in Chicago. So from the airport to my house, it took like 2 hours and 17 minutes, which meant that, like, not only was I on the plane for 4 hours, but then it took me 2 hours and 17 minutes to get home. We're in the middle of a snowstorm, so it's not like I can walk to the grocery store to get anything. So it just was a sad night of eating. And so I say all that to say, the way that I grocery shop now, I need to think through grocery shopping, not just in terms of keeping my expenses low, but also what foods can I get that will be good for me. What foods can I start to buy now that have a little bit of a preservative in them in some sort of way? So like frozen fruits and vegetables, or frozen meats and stuff like that. Like, I'm just not going to be able to get everything fresh, because when I come home, it's such an inconvenience to try to find something to eat if all I have in there is my pantry stuff. So I've really been working very hard on grocery stuff. I think the last grocery haul that you guys saw was in August, and then September and October, you guys didn't get that grocery haul because I was genuinely like in the middle of my grief. And so I just was not trying to be on camera. Same thing, like, so September, October, November, December, I really didn't want to be on camera because I was just dealing with my grief. But also, I wasn't necessarily like grocery shopping, going to the grocery store and doing a full grocery haul. I was just like, this is how much money I have to spend this month, so let me just go get some food, kind of a thing, because I was just wiped out with my whole entire broken heart. So the grocery hauls that are coming up will be a grocery haul that incorporates the lifestyle change of fitness, the lifestyle change of traveling, and me trying to really think through all of that stuff, because it's actually quite challenging to to make that shift. I know it seems like it would be easy because you're just buying food, but I don't know. It's just been interesting trying to think through it, not to stick to the budget, but just to try to think through meals that work, and shopping that works in a way that's actually convenient, because traveling, like I never really, because I enjoy traveling so much, I never really thought about how traveling takes so much out of you when you come back home and you just get reorientated to being back home. I just never really thought about how taxing that it is. So yes. Clothing, I don't need any clothing, and my son is doing okay with clothing, so I don't have a clothing budget. For transportation, you guys know that I give myself a $50 budget for Uber. That's been going exceptionally well. I haven't gone over on that. This has been a game changer, as well as, even though getting my car repossessed seemed like it was a terrible thing, it really helped because I didn't have a car payment, didn't have auto insurance, and didn't have to pay for gas. And my transportation costs got reduced to $50 and didn't have to pay for parking. So transportation costs got reduced to $50. It's been a game changer. My life insurance is $26.50. My health coverage is $150. And then that's all that I have there. So let me get that added up. 2650 plus 150 equals 176.50. So then for the quick start budget, you just add up all of these expenses. And it's, again, what these expenses are showing you is that this is the bare minimum that I need to survive each month. This will cover my needs. If I, obviously I'm not taking care of my wants, I'm not putting any money on towards any of my debts, but if I was behind on my bills, or if my income was lower, or if I just was really trying to get on track, this form, bare minimum, if you can complete this form, then you can at least see what your money is doing each and every single month, and how far it's like actually stretching for you, which is really, really important, and whether or not you're able to cover your four walls. Okay, so my total for my four walls, my total for my needs to just cover everything that I need to pay for in the month of February is $2,400, $2,419.25. And I'm just going to add that one more time just to make sure I did my math correctly. Hold on, I got a different number that time. Hold on. Oops. Yes, $2,419.25 is the total cost for my needs in the month of February. Okay, so now that all of my needs are covered and I'm clear that my income of $5,000 can cover all of my needs, I know that bare minimum, even though my income is going to be $5,000, bare minimum to cover everything I would need to make that amount. I just want to do some quick math to see how much disposable income I have. So I'll have about $2,500 in disposable income to spend on my needs and my debt, or excuse me, to spend on my wants and my debts in the month of February. So to figure out what I'm going to do beyond taking care of what I need to take care of in the month of February, that is when I'm going to go to my cash flow plan. And the cash flow plan is actually two pages. Oops. The cash flow plan is 2 pages. And these 2 pages cover my needs, because I'm going to copy and paste the needs that I have over here. If someone could tell the title of the video or date, that would be great. I'm clear. Oh, did I title it wrong? Oh no, Budget with Me Live. I don't know if that's something else. But I'm going to copy and paste the needs that I put on the other budget form onto this budget form, but you guys will see that over here, there's another category for personal, aka your wants, and then there's another category for debts, which is going to be the more detail that I add and what I show that I'm spending my disposable income on. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just copy over my numbers from my quick start budget. I'm going to copy over all of my needs and then I'm going to fill in my wants and my debts. So first thing I'm going to put is my income, which is $5,000. The big important thing to doing a zero-based budget is that you start with your income, not with your expenses. So I'm gonna make $5,000 in the month of January. So then I have my tithes, and my tithes are $500. My child support, and a lot of people ask me, is this court ordered? It's not. It's what I choose to pay, and that total is $1,000. Nothing here. And I'm just filling this in fast because I already went through it on my quick start budget. So we've gotten to the clothing category, and you'll notice on the quick start budget, even though I'm not putting a budget to buy any clothes, I do need to add a budget to do laundry. So I'm going to give myself $20 to do laundry because that's a little bit more detail. And then I don't have any medication, doctor bills, dentist, optometrist. I don't have any expenses there. So that's the first page of the quick start. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the second page. My life insurance, my health coverage, and my renter's insurance. I'm gonna add that up. Let me get that out of the... And you'll notice on the quick start budget that you move your insurances all to one category, so that my renter's insurance is over here. So that's why this number looks a little different than it did on the quick start budget. But it's just for to categorize. In February, I'm not planning any vacations or entertainment, so I'm just gonna go ahead and check that off. So then I have my personal, and then I have my debts here. So my priority in 2020 is paying off my debts. So the first thing that I'm going to do is put in my student loan minimums to see how much money I actually have left over to cover my personal. So my undergrad student loan minimum is $715.53. My graduate student loan minimum is $939.67. Now I'm gonna put more here, but I just want to see what my how much I have left over after I'm covering those. So if you remember, my to cover my needs from my quick start budget is $2,419.25. I only have one additional want that I put on here besides what I had put on the other one, which was my laundry. So I'm going to add $20 to that. Then I'm going to add in the minimums of my student loans. It equals that, and then I'm going to subtract it from my total income. So left over, I still have about $905.55. Now, I could spend all of this on my wants. I'm not going to, but I could spend all of it on my wants. But let's just see how it breaks down to what I'm actually going to do, because I know that I have $905 still left in my budget, because the goal is to get to zero. So for my expenses, my first expense is therapy. I'm gonna, can you guys see that? I'm trying to put that somewhere where you can see therapy. My first expense is, okay, that's gonna be in the way. Okay, we'll pull that back over in a second. My first expense is therapy. I go twice a month, and that's $140. My next expense is actually my trainer. So last month I had mentioned that I no longer have to pay my trainer because I have so many sessions that are built up. and I spoke too soon. So I no longer have to pay my trainer the $400 a month for the amount of sessions that I was booking a month. But if I completely cancel my personal training, then I lose all those sessions that are sort of in escrow. So rather than charging me for multiple sessions, they're just charging me for one session a month, which is $50, if that makes sense. So my trainer costs to to maintain my trainer so that I can use the, I think I have like 40 sessions that I still have left. I have to pay a maintenance fee essentially. So that maintenance fee is going to be $50, and then my gym membership is $49.99. I'm hoping that that makes sense. If not, just ask a question and I'll explain it again. So that is something that's new, but it's just because when I went to cancel, I learned that if I cancel it, then I also lose all of my sessions, and I don't want to do that. And then the only other personal expense that I have for this month is pocket money. And I'm going to give myself $20 in pocket money. And I literally don't have any other personal expenses, which when I tell you, it warms all of the pieces of my heart to not have any other personal expenses and to know that I'm just going to be able to put all this money on my debt, and that I've reduced my expenses to just that. Like there's no birthdays, there's no household stuff. Oh, well, I guess I can do my we talked about this last month. I can do my personal hygiene haul. We'll do that. We'll add that. And I think I gave myself like 150 for that. But what I love about that is that that'll be enough personal hygiene for 3 to 6 months, depending on how I use it. But I love that I've been able to reduce my personal wants, like the way that I've chosen to take care of myself. I have been able to reduce my personal wants to a very small amount to where I feel completely fulfilled and happy with my life. Like I don't feel like I'm lacking anything. I'm not like, oh man, I wish I had $75. Like, no, I've taken care of myself well enough and I've done my budget consistently enough to where I feel incredible about my wants category. So I'm going to add this up and see how much I get to put towards my student loan. All right, so that's 409 total. So I'll be able to put maybe a little under 500 onto my student loans, but let's just add it up and do the math to see what my final extra payment is going to be to my undergrad student loan. And you guys know that I'm paying, even though my student loans are housed in the same place, I'm paying extra on my undergrad. So it's kind of exciting for me to know that my undergraduate student loan will be paid off before my graduate student loan, and I'll just be able to officially be like, I've paid for my bachelor's degree. Like, kind of freaking excited about it, not gonna lie. So I'm gonna take my income, $5,000, minus my expenses. And it's just, it feels really good to be in this space with my income and with my budget. It feels really, really incredible. Like there's so much more peace. Like if you guys have watched any of my earlier videos where there was just so much stress and so much overwhelm, like it feels really incredible to be here. And I would say that that's the fruit of doing a budget every single month before the month began. So I have $495.56 to put towards my undergrad. So I'm going to just put a little plus sign, and I'm going to say I'm going to add an extra payment of that amount. So then I can subtract that, which would mean it would equal 0. So my income of $5,000 minus my expenses of $5,000 equals 0. And that's what you want it to equal. You want to have your income minus your expenses to equal 0. And that feels great. Like it feels really, really incredible that this is where my money is at this point. And that I'm able to put an extra nearly $500 on my student loans, as well as pay my minimum, that I'm consistently and progressively like really paying this debt off and really getting to the point where my finances are so organized that there is no stress, little to no stress. I feel really, really incredible about that. Okay, so the next budgeting form after the quick start budget is to do the allocated spending. So, excuse me, the cash flow. So the quick start budget is what do I need to pay? Like, what do I really need to pay? That's what the quick start budget is about. The cash flow is where is my money going to go? So I know what I need to pay, but what am I going to do with all that other money that's left over after my needs are taken care of? My cash flow plan tells me that. My allocated spending tells me when am I going to tell that money where to go. So basically, which pay period is going to pay which bills. This form is where the rubber meets the road. This is the form that nobody wants to do, but this is the form that when you do it, it changes the game. It changes the game, and because you are, once you know that your needs are covered, and you know that your wants and your debt payments are covered, you have to take the time to figure out, okay, now that all that stuff is covered, what paycheck is going to do it? So that way I can be prepared when my paychecks come in, that this is, I'm going to do this with my money, and I'm going to do this with my money, and I'm going to do this with my money. And so many people are just not prepared for that because they don't want to do this form. Is it a lot of work? Yes. Is it worth it? 1,050 million quadrillion percent it's worth it. So I pay myself on the 1st of the month and on the 15th. And there was a time period where I tried to pay myself once a month, and it just was very stressful for me in terms of tracking my expenses. So I broke it into these two payments. Maybe eventually I'll get back to a place where I can pay myself once a month, but for right now, this is just how I pay myself. And then I just split it, 2,500 here and 2,500 here. I get the question of why I don't take out my taxes, and it's because my taxes are taken out before I pay myself here. I make it a point to do that. So on the 1st, I'm going to go ahead and take care of my tithes and my child support. Oops, I did that wrong. Dang it. Shoot. Okay, so you're supposed to put this over here. And then I have 52. Ugh, shoot, it's going to be ugly. I have 2,000 left. Then this over here, and then I have 1,500 left. That looks a little messed up, guys, but the idea is you write the amount that you budgeted and you subtract it. So 500 minus 2,500 leaves me with 2,000. 500 minus 2,000 leaves me with 1,500. Again, nothing for my emergency fund. I pay my rent a month in advance, so I'm going to pay that with the check of the 15th and not my beginning check. I am going to pay my utilities, so 25. I'll pull my calculator in. So I have 1,500 minus 25, 1,475. And then my gas is 25. I don't know that, yeah, equals 1,450. Okay. And this literally just takes you right down all of the forms. I'm going to go ahead and give myself my full grocery budget. I'm going to take out $200 in cash from my checking account. So 1,450 minus 200 leaves 1,250. Then I'm going to also take out the cash for my laundry. Try to make sure you guys can see that. So 20, leaving me with 1,230. I'm not going to take out my cash for my transportation because I pay it through Uber and that does an automatic debit, but I usually budget for about 25 the first week and then 25 the second week. So 25, and that typically works out because I live in a very walkable neighborhood, and most of the places I go, my friends will come and get me, or I will, and the only other place that I Uber that's a little bit of a distance is to therapy. And then other than that, I just walk. And then I don't have any more expenses from this page. I'm just going to put a 2 up here to show me that that's the same page. And all of my insurances will come out at the beginning of the month as well. So my life insurance of $2,650. my health coverage of $150. Uh-oh, 128.50. My renter's insurance of $575. Leaves me with that. Personal expenses. I will I'll go ahead and do my personal hygiene haul at the beginning of the month, and I will also give myself my pocket money at the beginning of the month. I'll do that. So let me just change these categories really quick. Okay, so my pocket money will be $20. So minus 20, 1002.75. Then my personal hygiene will be 150. Leaves 85275 left over. Okay, so that is all that I'm going to pay out of this. Well, I mean, yeah, that's all I'm going to pay out of this particular pay period. So the $852.75 that's left, what I'm going to do just in brackets is I'm just going to put $852.75 that's left. I'm going to take this amount and I'm going to carry it over to the first page where I'm showing my 2 pay periods. So on the first, I'm going to pay myself $2,500. After I pay all of my expenses, there's going to be $852.75 left in my checking account. To make sure this is reflected in my allocation, I'm going to bring that number up here, 852.75. I'm going to bring that number up here to give me a new number to do my subtraction from, because $2,500 plus $852.75 is what's going to be in my checking account at the time when I'm allocating the expenses for this. That was very confusing for me in the beginning when I first started doing this form, because I thought each line had to equal 0. And it's not that each line has to equal 0, it's that the form has to equal 0 after the allocation. So the paycheck that I'm going to give myself plus what's remaining in my checking account will be the $3,352.75. So now I will do the same thing that I did, is I'll start to go through and I'll start to subtract. So from this pay period, I'm going to pay my rent. So I'll take what's in my checking account balance, minus $937. We'll leave a remaining balance of $2,415.75. I won't have to pay my utilities because I took care of those in the previous pay period. I won't have to take care of my food because I took care of that in the previous pay period. I won't have to take care of laundry, took care of that in the previous pay period. Also took care of my gas in the previous pay period. Don't have any medical health related expenses. So then I come here, took care of my insurances in the previous pay period, and I took care of these two. So I will take out therapy trainer in this pay period. So therapy will be $140. That is for me to go to therapy twice in the month. So minus $140. 2,275.75 left over. My trainer will be $50, which leaves me with 2,225.75. My gym will be $49.99, which leaves me with 2,175.76. Yes, 2,175.76. Okay. Let me make sure I'm not leaving off any other. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what, guys? I actually missed my transportation. My second transportation does come out. I missed that. So I got to go back and do my math, right? So I would actually be $25 here. So I would take the remaining balance minus 25, which would leave me with 239,075. Then I would take 140. So this form is about to get a little bit messy, but I don't write in pencil so that way you guys can actually see my numbers. So rather than that being that, that's going to be 2,250.75. And rather than this being this, it's going to be 2,200.75. And rather than that being that, it's going to be 21576. So I just went back and cleaned up that math. So my remaining balance left over is this. So then I would come to this final page. Now, unfortunately, I ran out of printer paper, and so this is actually the form from last month. So even though this is written right here, I just want to, well, let me not do it with that. I'm going to cover that up just so you guys don't get distracted. I'll cover that up, even though, because I just had to use an old form because I ran out of forms. I need to print new forms. Don't have any recreation or anything like this, but this is where my student loan payment would be listed. So rather than confusing you guys with those numbers that are down there, I'm just going to write student loan 1 here and student loan 2. And I'm going to put those expenses in because out of this second pay period, I'm going to pay those. So based off my forms, my first student loan minimum is $715. I need to figure out what that total actually is. Hold on, guys. I need to write this number down somewhere. Well, it's actually on the other page. I won't need to write it down. Okay. So my student loan undergrad minimum that I'm sending them is, plus the extra payment, is actually going to be 1,21109. Okay. So let me get. So then I will take what's in my checking minus which should equal my student loan payment for the other one. Yes, it is 0, it is 0. And then that should equal 0. So my allocated spending form was done correctly because now I'll just subtract my next student loan payment and it equals 0. So I'll go ahead and walk through how I did that here really quickly. Okay, so on the allocated spending, you break it up into your pay period. If you get paid 4 times a week, if you get paid 2 times a week, you break it into your pay period. How much are you going to get paid? If you have irregular income, like I have irregular income, I could pay myself more than $5,000. I could pay myself $5,000. I could pay myself $5,076.24. I could do that, but rather than doing that and getting distracted in that accounting, I'm like, okay, you just gonna pay yourself a flat $5,000. You're gonna round to the nearest whole dollar. That is a decision that I made as the CEO founder of my company, and it works for me. Then I break it into my pay periods, and then based off how much I'm gonna make in that pay period, I say, okay, I'm gonna make $2,500. Write the first budgeted expenses, subtract the amount that's left over, the expense, the amount that's left over. So from $2,500, I'm gonna pay my tithes. I'll have $2,000. I'll pay my child support. I'll have $1,500. So on and so forth. And then the same thing happens over here on this side. The same thing happens over here on this side. So it's one of those things where you have to be very, very clear on how much money you are actually subtracting and how much money is going to be left over, right? And you just do it all the way down the form until you get here, and then you take whatever is left over in that month, which will also be reflected in your checking account balance, bring it up here, add it to the paycheck, get the total, and begin the same subtraction process all the way until it equals 0. Again, this is the form where the rubber meets the road. When you don't do this form, it's like it's going through the work of figuring out what you need, figuring out what you want, and what debt payments that you're going to pay, but then still having the stress of, okay, I have money in my account. What should I do with it? When should I do something with it? And this is the form that helps you to figure out when you should do something with the money that you have coming in. And it's very, very important to know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you guys back around. I'm going to pop out and pop back in, and I am going, I guess I should leave this in the frame, and I'm going to pop out and pop back in for our Q&A session. So the budget forms or just any questions from me at all, that is the time to ask. If you asked a question in this video, I have the video still up here on my page, so I will be able to answer those questions. And actually, before I click out, let me make sure I can still access your questions when I go out, because I know last time I couldn't get to them, and I want to really be able to do that. So let me make sure in my back end that I can actually access what's happening. I don't know why YouTube has done so many, they've made so many changes. You guys, I'm actually a little bit fearful that if I click out of this, it's going to close out the questions. It may close out the questions. If it does, just take the few minutes to write your question or copy and paste, and then, I'll do my best to get to it. But if it does close it out, I apologize. But I am going to pop out and then pop back on to answer your questions. All right.